The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. It's yet another edition of The Big Issue. Of course, as usual, my name is George Agba, your regular host. And with me here in the studio is a guest, a special guest. We have Comrade Abdullahi Mohammed, a human rights advocate and zonal chairman, North Central of the Campaign for Democracy. And of course, he's also the Secretary General of the
International Institute of Professional Security.
Yes, International Institute of Professional Security. Of course, with me here also is our in-house analyst, the very vibrant security expert, David Kaka.
Nice to be here again
Yeah.
after a long while.
Well, the big issue of the day is killings as Zamfara, Benue State government direct citizens to carry arms. Well, the rising spate of banditry attacks and other forms of terror attacks and insecurity has left the Zamfara and Benue State government with no option than to ask their citizens to arm themselves with weapons of self-defense. But some other Nigerians, including security experts, are worried that this could amount to compounding the already tense security atmosphere in the country. The Zamfara state government said it was ready to facilitate the securing of basic weapons for the people, especially farmers, to defend themselves against raiders. A press statement signed, issued by the State Commissioner for Information, Ibrahim Magajo Dusara, said the Commissioner of Police had been directed to issue gun licenses to those eligible to bear arms. He stated that people must apply from the Commissioner of Police the license to own guns and such other basic weapons to be used in defending themselves. Well, also in Benue State, the Benue State governor also called on the federal government to allow citizens to bear arms to protect themselves against rising insecurity in the country. Otom said this on Friday at the one-year anniversary of the establishment of the Ministry of Police Affairs. Otom said Nigerians must wake up in order not to be consumed by insecurity. And of course, we quote the governor. He said, I heard people complaining that Otom called for Nigerians to be allowed to carry sophisticated weapons and that it would bring about anarchy. What about the herdsmen who are carrying AK-47 and kidnapping innocent Nigerians, raping our women and destroying our villages and towns and becoming a terror to use? How about them? Why can't we collect these sophisticated weapons from them? How many of them have been arrested? The governor queried. Well, comrade, you are welcome to this program once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me here.
Yes, the issue here is the issue that has to do with societal issues, and it borders on insecurity. And you could see the spate of killings, either by terror groups and bandits in the northwest and parts of the north central, Boko Haram and other terrorist groups in the northeast, and of course in the southeast we have the IPOB, or we call it some, although sometimes they call them unknown gunmen, terrorizing the people. And of course, two governors in the country are overwhelmed. And as chief security officers in their state, they are asking that their citizens should be allowed to carry arms for self-defense. You see, something like that coming from them should not be taken lightly, because we are talking of the chief security officers of states. And when they make this pronouncement, it's clearly an indication that they have been overwhelmed by the level of insecurity in their states, and then they are left with no option than to ask their citizens to resort to self-defense. What can you say about this situation?
It's unfortunate that Nigeria has degenerated to this level. It is also unfortunate for the chief executive of the state to have taken upon himself the authority he does not possess. Our security is under exclusive list in our constitution. So those two governors, yes, they are bothered, they are concerned. They are in grief almost every hour, every minute. People are killed in the state and other states. We're equally badly affected in the North Central Zone, particularly Niger State is the epicenter of terror attack and banditry. So, but that's not the way to go, because he does not have the control of the police that is directing to license the citizens to carry weapons. You want to procure weapon for them, can he now guide them on how justifiable they should use it to serve the purpose he has asked them to apply for in procuring the license from Nigerian police? Police doesn't issue license like that. The commander-in-chief of the armed forces has the prerogative right under the 1999 Constitution in the exclusive list to take charge and control of security emergencies, operations, and management. And I think they've been doing their best, even though they seem to be overwhelmed because of lack of adequate equipment, lack of the capitalization of training, lack of incentives and motivation to the armed forces to ensure the lack of cooperation, interagency cooperation. Those areas, and specifically failure of intelligence gathering and usage at the right time, are accounting for the failure that is being recorded on the part of line security agencies to curb this menace. And I think the federal government is doing their best now to scale up the issue of procurement of armament to equip them. And then the recruitment is going on in almost all the armed forces to ensure that their number type of human capital on the field are increased to match strength to strength with the terror group. Most of the terror group are illegal immigrants in this country. They are mercenary and alien that were majorly brought in by politicians to serve selfish interests. And where we are now, we're all in trouble.
Well, Daka, you heard what as Secretary General of the International Institute of Professional Security, IIPS. We're talking, we are dealing with a security expert here. And of course, he raised one salient point here, that the security agencies, and that should include even the military, of course, have actually not really lived up to their billings. And of course, we've been hearing issues of the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, assuring that it just takes a matter of days, they will be able to contain the terror groups and the rest, but nothing has changed. Killings going on, kidnappings. What do you have to say about it?
You know, it's what he said is unfortunate, but I can see he's against the citizens carrying arms, not minding who is carrying. I'm not saying everybody should be given a rifle, but looking at the statistics we keep counting every day, these are human beings. Do you know from January to now, we have about 6,566 Nigerians who have died due to this armed attack. That's a figure in 6 months. These are human beings. I'm not talking about last year. The figure for last year is about 8,000 something. Now, these are human beings. These are people's loved ones. You have people. The people come to somebody's, they will raid the community, take people, and no rescue. You now expect the community or the state governor to sit and say, they should. No. For me, the call is just out of frustration. I'm tired and fed up of this whole thing. What should be done is what I want to hear the question from the body language. I want to hear from the political classes. How do we tackle this? It should go beyond just making political statements to taking concrete actions. We've been shouting, like you talked about North Central. I'm a refugee too from all these crises. Now, you should know that everybody is angry. But the thing is, how will these governors, if you want to issue out these guns, how are you going to follow up to make sure they are not being used for the purpose they are meant? Otherwise, like you said, it's going to be more harm. Now, the US is also debating how to control
armament in the possession of citizens because of the misuse over time. Reckless
now,
shooting
in Nigeria, according to statistics, we have more than 350 million light weapons, small and light arms in circulation.
That means
In whose hand?
each Nigerian can have it and we have extra left.
Wait, no,
300 and something
people
million.
have stopped those weapons.
I stop them.
They are now using it to attack armless communities. You know, Benue State governor came with amnesty, collected the little ones the people had, and then
Leaving the people vulnerable
to all these
to
attacks.
the
I have a different
criminals.
approach to this issue.
Good. So my own is I want to see the solution
Mm.
to these things because the military seem overwhelmed. We have all the security, it's not just military, all the security agencies, they seem overwhelmed.
Well, thank you.
We have a center that's
Mm.
supposed to even retrieve the
Retrieve
weapons.
them.
But how do I even trust the government if you cannot rescue somebody who has been taken from his house or from the train that was attacked for over 3 months? Then how are you not going to convince me to even submit the one I have?
Well, thank you very much, David Tucker. I think you have a point here. But at the same time, it's like you actually told the part of Comrade Mohammed, who seemed to be totally against the idea of carrying arms. And
I
Well,
am for it, I'm
well,
against it. Because I don't see there's no modality. I don't know what strategy they have to monitor the issuance.
We are not matured
well,
to carry weapons at this stage.
but just a moment.
But can we
just a moment.
guarantee the security of everybody?
A minute. There is this situation where I now see the governors pushing for self-defense. I'm talking from a position where it appears just like the biblical analogy, the kingdom of God suffered violence. That violence taking it by force. And of course, you are a human rights advocate and activist, and of course, when you say you are against the idea of carrying arms, are you aware that the terror groups, the bandits, the headsmen, the other forms of criminals, they are well armed, and of course, those citizens are always there, vulnerable to these attacks. Just like David Tucker said, the little ones, some of those people had. The governor called for amnesty, and some of them surrendered, destroyed. But that does not protect them. They are not safe from criminals who will just invade communities in the state and just attack them. So if you are against the idea of carrying weapons, and as a human rights advocate, what would you say about the innocent people being killed every day?
I started with a word of sadness, and that we are all in this project together. This is the sad story of our country, and this has been on in the last 1 or 2 decades now. But it came to the climax in 2007 to where we are now in 2022. And the secret behind all this is the struggling for power in the political landscape of this country. And that's why I point an accusing finger to the politicians. Because the advanced stage of thuggery is terror. They are the people that recruit these political thugs to aid them to perpetuate electoral violence and malpractices. That's why they were there. By extension, we know very well in this part of the country that good number of our border posts are not governed effectively. And if our border posts, neighboring Chad, Cameroon, Benin Republic, what have you, are not governed in terms of policing movement of citizens or non-citizens, and the compliance with stated rules of the country they are coming into, is a challenge. The liberalization of equal policies on free movements of citizens across borderless movement is equally compounding the problem. In Africa, in West Africa specifically, it's compounding the problem. So what we need to do to address these issues are 2 issues. The government must be very, very decisive and must be ready to curb this thing head-on collusion.
Comrade, sorry to cut you short.
Okay.
Before we come to that very, very important point you're going to make, which has to do with the solutions to the problem, away from self-defense. We'll just quickly take a short break, hoping that obvious to contribute constructively to the big issue of the day by their way of comments. Don't go offline. We'll be back in a moment.
sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We are still on the big issue in Leadership Podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day is insecurity. As Zamfara, Benue governments direct citizens to carry arms. Well, David, back to you. You were talking of being for and against the idea of carrying arms. No, you can't serve two masters at a time. If you're taking a decision, sitting on the fence, the danger of it is that even our viewers there will not really know the position you stand.
That's the situation of this country.
Are you saying citizens should carry arms or they should not carry arms? Which one are you saying?
Do we have a structure that can monitor if people are carrying arms?
Control.
And which is you don't have that kind of structure.
So the answer is supporting them to carry.
But at the level where we found ourselves, the last resort that anybody can think of, let me pick the rifle. If I cannot defend myself, let me die trying.
You've heard of David Data.
Yeah.
He's actually putting up a situation where naturally he might not be in support of carrying of arms, but at the end of the day, if matter comes to worse, a situation where
it's the last resort.
You find yourself between the devil and the good. Okay.
There are better ways.
Comrade, as a security
Nigeria
expert,
is a constitutional republic.
As a security expert,
Yes.
you have actually discouraged the idea of carrying arms.
No, it's not proper.
Then what the citizens?
What
should
will
be the
you
solution?
tell the people in captivity, those who have been raided? What will you tell them? If they had weapons, they would have been able to resist
They
this
can't
attack.
do that because transit crime. The train issue was a transit crime, and it's not often like that. We had it on road too over time, where you be traveling by road before you get to another state or another bordering state like Kogi here, Okene here. They will stop the vehicle, take you to the forest and what have you. That is road transit crime. Then we've got in rail transport transit crime. We've not been able to have that of here, apart from the one we had last during an attempt to bomb one of the planes with Abu Talib that is still serving his jail sentence. Are you getting me now? Now, what we should do is that we allow this thing to filter.
But
Because of
apart
poor
from
leadership.
apart from the transit, we have communities that have been raided, schools raided.
I will
students
tell
picked,
you now, we
and
tell you
ransom
more.
paid.
I think
Each
he's coming
of
to
these
that.
terror issues, each of these insecurity are in phases.
Okay.
I just use the transportation sector now as one major aspect that over the time has been so endemic in the routes being used to perpetrate this type of crime. Now, the other one we have banditry. Their interest here. All these atrocities are geared towards economic interests. Those who are involved in perpetrating this evil against the states are doing it for economic interest. And the issue has been commercialized now. There is international influence in domestic terrorism. And that is where we are in Nigeria and Africa. It's not as if those that were involved were not known. You had the president saying it, that they are not Nigerian national. They are from Chad, Niger, and Cameroon, and other Mali.
They can't go after them.
Just wait.
They can't go after them.
The laxity and failure of leadership, laissez-faire leadership in governance, accounted to where we are in the sorry state in insecurity-wise. And that I blame the government for. Not taking responsibility on oath with our constitution, 1999 constitution, that the essence of governance is to protect the security and secure their well-being through economic and socio-economic empowerment. This in a very good climate, in a civilized climate, this government could have been run out of the system because this system gets in what is their mandate, their constitutional mandate. That's the true position. But as it were, we can manage it effectively with determination and seriousness. Because the failure of leadership to really address this issue as a result of intelligence failure, as a result of lack of motivation, as a result of non-recapitalization of the arms and armament of the armed forces over time. the military is doing extensively the role of police, and that should not be.
Accepted.
And there's a collusion.
That I agree.
There is a collusion
The situation may would have
among them.
may have
Why some
overstretched,
are serious? They
the-
make sure that they end this thing as quickly as possible because of the pride and the success stories they recorded in the international community, like the peacekeeping, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and what have you. So we must have a leadership that is decisive, that is honest, that is ready to even invite the international experts, mercenaries from other countries, to come and fight this part of Nigeria. They did it some time ago when they came in 2017. They imported some strong allies to come and fight. They fought on our border here, close to Cameroon here, before they went back. The president that was killed in the field of fighting terror was there. But we've not been able to show that commitment as a state, as a leader. The president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria have not been able to demonstrate that commitment to rescue Nigeria from this terror attack, from this insecurity, from this insurgency, and then we are losing our economic strength, we are losing our human strength, we are losing even the ability for us to remain our cohesion as a citizen, as a nation. It's been challenged. Our peaceful coexistence has been challenged.
Well, comrade, that takes me to one question I would ask you, because I think was it the late military head of state, General Sani Abacha, who said any insurgency that lasts beyond 24 hours or
Yes, the government is
the
aware,
government
and
has
yes,
a hand
and
in
it
it.
is, yes.
And don't forget that certain persons have come out openly alleging that there are Boko Haram elements in government.
Of course,
Remember
yes.
one retired is it Navy or Air
A Commodore.
a Commodore who made that,
Of course,
And-
yes.
and of course
Look at the shameful aspect of it all.
He was invited.
When those terrorists were arrested
Mm.
by the military,
Mm.
Nigerian government resolved in its undecisive manner to put them together on the pretense of repentance, terror.
Good.
And they were given first-class treatment against the army
Mm.
that have put their life on line in the
Yeah.
line of
The
duty
duty.
to ensure that these people does not exist.
Mm.
So you see, it's a disservice to the nation.
With the way the government handles all these things.
And they handle it very well.
The only language an average Nigerian wants to hear, because
It's
I
action.
interact with the both sides. I interact with the common man on the street, and I interact with the government. And one thing I keep telling them, the only thing an average Nigerian wants to hear is when he is threatened, there's somebody to rescue him. If you cannot rescue him, then let him defend himself.
No, we are not ripe enough. We will compound the problem. The chief of defense staff have said it clearly. I won't give it to me now.
But-
I think they will scale up
but
their
you-
activities
Mm.
to ensure that these terror activities is stopped.
Mm.
That is what should be done
Should be
now.
done, yes.
They should scale it up. But
Mm.
for us to go head-on collusion to license or unlicensed,
Mm.
armed robbers unlicensed,
Mm.
militant unlicensed, youth restlessness then you are telling me we should not have a country called Nigeria again. And that's why I'm absolutely against it. It's never been done in any part of the world.
Then if
That's
you are
what the
against
government wants.
it,
Already,
if you
to
are-
an average Nigerian, somebody who has been picked in his house and he's paying there, he's selling, removing the roofs of his house to pay ransom. That's what the people in the Northwest are
That
doing.
is why I'm saying that there are better ways of having solution to this.
That kind of
But
person
the
is not
leadership
listening to that
must
better way.
show commitment.
That kind of person will
What
not
we've
listen
seen
to that
here
better way.
is because the Fulanis are taking undue advantage of Mr. President, who have been one of their father, and as such, they are untouchable. And that issue has filtered for quite a long
He
time.
shouldn't- but
If Mr. President had been so proactive
Mm.
in his decision,
are we supposed
on this
to have
matter,
that kind of system?
this issue should have been resolved long ago.
If we had a constitution like you said,
Yes, we have.
if the constitution is quite working,
It's working, it's operational.
then if the constitution is working, then it doesn't matter where the president comes from, because he's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not the president of Fulani.
That is the
So,
will
a Fulani
that
should-
Mr. President have not been able to differentiate
He must not be the
between his
president.
ethnicity and his
And-
position
He must not
as
be
Federal
the
Republic of
president.
Nigeria
He must not be-
president.
He must not be the president. All he needs to do is he's the commander in chief.
Yeah,
He's not the boots on the ground.
Yeah.
The boots on the ground, all he carries is the constitution.
yeah.
So if the constitution says you cannot carry rifle,
Yeah.
there are accusations of the Fulanis being arrested with weapons,
Yeah.
and they are released.
Yeah.
Where does the order come from?
Yes.
Who gives the order?
That is why I told you there's a collusion and
That
there's a
means
conspiracy
the
theory
law,
on this
even the
subject
constitution
matter.
is not being effective. So they are, and
The
every man just wants-
problem is not the
just-
constitution, it's the operator. and the man that has the last joker to use it to make it workable, somebody is in charge of carrying out that obligation. He has not done it. Mr. President has not been able to declare that the Fulanis, whether local, that are conniving with their counterparts from other countries, should be declared a terrorist or not. But it is either inconvenient for them to go to UN.
I remember there
and
was,
declare IPO as terror groups.
I remember there was a directive given by the president. Once when he now said that they should shoot any Fulani they see with AK-47 in the forest.
Shot at anyone.
Don't forget that a good number of managerial officers in almost all the armed forces are a section of that ethnicity. They are holding the axe of security in this country. Go to customs, they are the one there. Go to NMPC, they are the one there. Go to police, they are the one there. Go to army, they are the one there. So, I mean, it's very difficult. You know, sympathy to your ethnicity is an issue in this part of the country. But sympathy to your religion is an issue in this country.
The oath, all of them, as a military personnel, your security, the oath does not say you should be. Once you become sympathetic, your job is already compromised. So
that is where we need somebody like late Abacha.
We have
that is decisive, committed, ruthless,
we don't need
and is ready to do what they think is right. And it's sustained with oil and 86 naira for 5 years.
Well, David Taka, you know, there was a point in time Nigerians were jubilating that very soon insecurity will be a thing of the past. So where we started, wait, now let me address, let me just come.
The Nigeria he left as a military coup d'etat.
Let me address,
officer.
let me
it's not
just.
the Nigeria he met
You don't
in
understand the
2015 when he came back.
Let me address, let me just see.
What
I'm trying to say is that there was a time Nigerians were jubilating that insecurity will be a thing of the past. That was when we started hearing of acquisition of military equipment like the Super Tucano jets. That they were going to, they showed the Super Tucano jet especially, they say once it comes, it will fish out these bandits, terrorists. What happened to them? Because we can't say the military are overwhelmed. When in recent times we've been seeing how they have been equipped with certain weapons that have been acquired.
It is the body language of the commander-in-chief that need to be improved upon and be called to order to know that you've lost a lot of lives in your administration and this cannot continue. Good enough, it's counting days to move away from the political space.
You have been hearing the president. You have been hearing the president saying, giving marching orders. Are you saying those marching orders are not enough for military too?
It is not a matter of words. When you say marching order, how equipped are these military that are combatant on the battlefield? The people that are quarreling, listen, the armies on the battlefield,
equipments are here.
That is one. Again, we are banded by international law. Before you use Mekanu to start killing them in the forest, be aware of international human rights organization so that you are not tagged committing genocide. It is easy to target genocide when you want to be very, very ruthless. And I think the president is very, very sensitive to this aspect and doesn't want his name to go down record, having been nicknamed as Mr. No Mercy when he was a military junta on the Strait of Affairs. Are you getting me now? So the rule of engagement in democratic setting is far, far, far different from that of the military. If it is military government that is in place now, I am sure that this issue could have been ended long ago. And again, we need to look who are the politicians that are sponsoring this aspect. Failure of leadership, failure of youth inability to have gainful employment and source of livelihood accounted to all this one. Failure of educational sector, ASUSAC and what have accounted to all these ones. Failure of the Nigerian government to make provision for healthcare facilities accounted to all these ones. Failure of parents who are the builder of their children before the school to remain solid in inculcating the value system of our country to their children and ensure that the communal life we've been living over the years is brought back. That I can beat your child, I can train him even when you are not there, because I believe that it is your child, but it is value addition is for the larger society. Are you getting me now? Those are the issues that we need to address. We must address the issue of 13.11 children out of school. We must attack the issue of non-budgeting, zero budgeting to educational sector. UNESCO says you should give 25% budget to education. It's zero budgeting now. Because if you don't give them good education, those are the large spectrum of our demographic structure now. And they are the leader of tomorrow. They are not educationally sound. they are not skillfully sound, and what you have is the renegades in the field who are easily to be swayed into any act of crimes and criminalities. And that should not be allowed. And that is why the government was very, very decisive to address the issue of unemployment and quickly address the issue of the educational sector. This is the way to go and allow citizens with access to social network and social facilities to go into entrepreneurship so that everybody will have ease and they will be able to contribute to the GDP of the country. Today, now, good number of our youth are there, nothing to do. All they know is cybercrime. All they know is to terrorize other people. And they are being encouraged by politicians. The only industry that is thriving now is political industry. That's the only industry that is thriving in Nigeria.
They buy iPad tablets, they buy tablets or smartphones and give them.
And then the issue of drugs is being tackled now by Brigadier Marwan. You can see his effectiveness and visibility in all the policy program of his leadership to ensure that Nigeria is taken out of the drug nation.
After many years of failure by that agency.
Yes, now
drug abuse.
Leadership constitutes 90% of success in governance. When the man that is there, even at your family level, so if you are not able to provide good leadership, they will rebel against you.
That means Nigeria, we need to start from the leadership recruitment.
Yes,
who becomes our leader?
Yeah, this election year.
This election and when after the elections, the appointment that they make.
Over the years, we jettison the merit system.
Yeah. Well,
we jettison what I could call the best, the first 10, first 11, be in charge of areas that are very sensitive.
But
it is all commerce affairs.
Just like you rightly said, comrade, this is an election year. But will the vote count?
It will count.
In a country where
it will count.
It had always been in position.
No, but you can see a lot of improvements on the part of INEC to ensure that there's an over the years. You saw what happened in Ekiti. You saw what happened in Anambra election. Despite all the violent attack in Anambra, elections here hold, sweat in Anambra. And so election in February 2023 will be held successfully.
Well, thank you very much, comrade. That is the most we can take for today's edition of The Big Issue. And of course, you've heard it all for Comrade Abdullahi Mohammed the Sariki Yaki Jabi, the zonal chairman of North Central of the Campaign for Democracy, and the Secretary General of International Institute of Professional Security. Carrying of arms might not be feasible for now because the country is not ripe to manage that yet. And for David, it is neither here nor there because whichever decision you take is the devil's alternative. But the citizens there must be a last resort. But whichever way, we've heard it all. And of course, the failure on the part of government is part of the reason why insecurity is growing by the day. Well, as our viewers, you have your view, and of course, we hope that at the next program, you would have actually sent them via mails for us to actually look at them and read them for you. Thank you for keeping tab with us, and of course, I'll thank our in-house analyst, David Taka, and our special guest, Comrade Abdullahi Mohammed, the Jabi, for grazing this program. Join us same time tomorrow for another edition of The Big Issue. Do have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Well done, sir. Is it? We carry the weapons.